Hey everyone, welcome into the Gannett office here at Lambeau Field. I am Ryan Wood. That's Pete Dougherty. 27-17, Packers win over the Steelers today. Their third straight win. You know that 38-3 that happened week one? Seems like a pretty distant memory, Pete.
It does. I think back to a lot of the comments that we were sifting through that night, and there was a lot of gloom and doom. And none of us knew how it was going to turn out, but we knew that there was a decent chance that that could be an aberration. And, I think we were both of the opinion this is still a talented team. It did raise some red flags and questions, but, especially the last two games, they've looked like the team we would have projected going in. They're one of the four teams in the NFC who you got to think have the best chances of getting to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're the favorite, but they're in that conversation. And they played a really good game against a physical team whose quarterback looked every bit of 39 plus years old.
Ooh. It ain't Big Ben anymore. He's old Ben.
It's not.
He's old Ben now. Look, Aaron Rodgers alluded to, this is the quarter pole kind of 17 games now, but it's the quarter pole of the season. It's the time where you have enough of a sample size for the first time to really reflect. And Aaron Rodgers alluded after the night that week 2 game against Detroit, they kind of felt it a little bit. I mean, it was
you could tell they felt pressure because he said like I can't remember. I think he basically said that there was a sense of relief after that game.
Yeah. So relief came early week 2. How'd they get here? They're 3-1 now, right? They're back where they're kind of supposed to be. They felt relief week 2, big win week 3 again at San Francisco, and then tonight, this afternoon, 27-17 over the Steelers. I thought it was really interesting that Aaron Rodgers said after the game, if you would have told him that they'd be without not just David Bakhtiari, but half the season so far without Elton Jenkins, he would have been very pleased with 2 wins, and he's ecstatic that they're 3-1. They're 3-1. They've won 3 straight, and things have not gone well. They don't have Zadarius Smith. Jair Alexander leaves the field tonight, and we don't know. They don't know right now. After the game, immediately after, they were still awaiting test results to see what the extent of Jair Alexander's injury was. They don't have Elton Jenkins. Kevin King is in concussion protocol. They're without 4 starters tonight. They're 3-1. Things have not gone well. It's kind of impressive.
A couple questions there about Alexander. Do you have any kind of update for that?
The very latest, and I'm talking right after the game, is they don't know yet. Nobody knows. They're still waiting test results, and they're trying to figure out. That'll come obviously overnight into tomorrow morning. Pete, you even asked Matt LaFleur point blank, which was a very, very good question. Like, can you rule out the worst case scenario? Is it not season ending? He didn't say yes. He doesn't know. They literally don't know right now the extent. That is a guy that they obviously cannot lose.
So assuming,
Cannot lose.
They're 2. It's Rodgers, and then it's either Smith or Alexander. Then the other one, that would be devastating with Smith very possibly out for the rest of the season. The report on Alexander was an AC joint, and I did some quick research while we were waiting for LaFleur and Rodgers and all the crew to come out for their interviews. And it was all over the map on what the recovery is. It sounds like surgery is not needed very often for those, even for football players. It's pretty rare. And if you don't have surgery, if it's grade 1, it's a couple of weeks. If it's grade 2, it's anywhere from like 3 to 6. And if it's grade 3, it's anywhere from like 6 to 12, I think, weeks. So even worst case there, he's back by the end of the season if it's grade 3 and he's the longest out. It didn't really say what the recovery is if you actually have to have the surgery. I couldn't find anything that said that. So assuming that report is correct, no reason to think it's not, reputable reporter. I guess we'll maybe find out more tomorrow. Now they're not always real forthcoming on this stuff, so you never know. You can never know whether you can believe what they're saying.
Brian Dawes said, so Matt Sherman got signed last week. I don't think he's coming to Green Bay, even if he didn't get signed.
Yeah, I don't know. Although maybe he would have just wanted a job. But I would think this would not rate high on the list of cities that he'd want to live in.
I don't think that would have mattered. pleased with how well the offense played against a very good defense, Mark Ingram said. The big thing I think tonight, Pete, was that this Steelers defense came in like ninth in rush defense coming in. Packers rush offense came in 29th. The Packers crammed it down the Steelers' throat on the ground. What they have, like 30 carries for 129 yards.
129 yards, yep.
It between Aaron Jones and
Basically
A.J. Dillon.
4 yards a carry.
They had almost 200 yards all combined between the two running backs. Pete, I know you wrote about this, but my quick thought was this was a lot like in the past when you see Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams kind of carry the offense at times as a two running back system, except for now it's obviously Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon.
Yeah, and this was basically the subject of my column. I think it's a different animal because he's a better player than Williams is. Williams is a great guy to have in your team, great locker room guy, special teams, good at blitz pickup. With the ball in his hands, he's just another running back. He's not bad, but he's just another running back. Dillon's a little more than that because he's a powerful guy who's 247 pounds. That's pretty rare for a back to be that big and to run, with the whatever 4 or 5 speed he had.
You saw it on that 25-yarder too.
Yeah, and he's just tough to bring down. And I thought it stood out most. We were talking about it in the fourth quarter when they're killing the clock in the last 10 minutes. And I don't know why they even went away from him. The Steelers knew it was coming. He was still picking up 3 to 5 yards of crack.
They kind of keep doing that a little bit,
Yeah.
don't they?
And I guess, in their defense, they had a shot wide open and Rodgers missed it. So, 85 by the time Tunyon was wide open on one of those would have been a touchdown that absolutely would have sealed the game. But anyway, they needed 2 good backs. This is why they drafted Dillon 2 years ago with a high pick, even though some people were like, what are they doing? How come they're not getting Rodgers weapons? Well, if you help the running game, you're giving him weapons. You're protecting him. You're making his life easier because you're changing the way defenses have to play you, so it helps your passing game. And just think of how much better the offense was when Aaron Jones was on the field than when he wasn't the last 2 years. And now that drop-off is just not going to be very big. Maybe there won't be much of a drop-off at all when Dillon's out there. And Jones is a 60% player, 60% snaps. So I think this is probably what we're going to see from here to come for the rest of the season. Now, it's not always going to work out like this, but they're going to be able to play Jones 60% of the snaps, no more, try to keep him healthy for January. And their offense will still be high octane with Dillon on the field.
I don't know if you put this in your column, Pete, but I thought it was interesting. Matt LaFleur said that he caught himself after the game when he went up to A.J. Dillon, and he went to say, way to step up, and then he caught himself. And he said, you really just got the opportunity. This is the first opportunity he had. It made me think, why is this the first opportunity A.J. Dillon has had? Like, why don't they play him more and give him more of a role in the offense until now?
A lot of it was, they had COVID and all. I mean, last year was, but I still don't know why. I still don't know why they didn't play him more down the stretch. And he was playing a little more this year, but I guess the New Orleans game, that thing, like we kind of have to throw that out because they just didn't have the ball that game. What did they run? They didn't run 40 plays.
It's still been 2 games.
It has.
Like, why not? Like, why wait till week 4?
I'd have to go back. I'm not remembering how many carries he had or how many snaps he had. I know. I think it was last week, Jones had like a lot more. Like he was 75-80% of the snaps.
He came into the night with 15 carries for 55 yards.
Yeah, so and I know he played a lot. Jones played a lot more snaps than Dillon last week. More than I remember looking at the ratio and thinking this is too high for Jones. They can't put him out there. Now maybe it was the nature of that game and how important that game was. They wanted the tried and true guy out there all the time. I'm not sure what to think he was, but gotta think. This is what the kind of rotation we're going to see for the rest of the year, 60-40 or so. Carl brings up a point that's a part of all this. That's you go by snap count or touch count. I think he probably is a 15 to 18 touch guy.
I would agree.
But I wouldn't go any higher. I think you're right. I wouldn't go any higher than that if I were them, Kyle, because they need this guy. What good does it do to have him play great all season and then he's hurt in January when you're playing for the money? You got to have this guy on the field, and then to have 2 of them. It's a pretty good weapon, and it's different than having a high pick receiver, but it still helps their quarterback a lot.
It's surprising that Aaron Jones hasn't gone off yet. It's coming. Aaron Jones is going to go off. Aaron Jones is a dude. He's absolutely. You keep giving him he's a 15 to 20. But here's the thing: this Packers offense, it's got Aaron Rodgers, got Devontae Adams. They're really MVP, best receiver in football. Their run game is the most important thing. They've got to run the football, and not just a little. They have to run it a lot. And if they get that run game going, then you've got Aaron Rodgers, you got Devontae Adams all day. So that's when it really works in concert with.
And they want to double Adams, and then if you have both running backs hurting you, if you got to bring a guy up, you only have one safety. He's got to shade towards Adams. I mean, you've got a half a field there.
Got to run
for Tunyon, for MVS, for Lazard. I think different guys, just like Cobb had the big game today. I think different receivers are gonna have big games throughout the season, and it's gonna be hard to predict which one it'll be.
So here's my point. It's not just Aaron Jones can be 15 to 20 carries, and AJ Dillon can still get more. It doesn't detract. AJ Dillon getting more carries doesn't detract from Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, 15, 20 carry guy, and AJ Dillon still needs more because that's how much this offense needs to run the football. You mentioned Randall Cobb. We've got some comments in here on Randall Cobb. Big game tonight. He had 2 touchdowns in 9 games in his last season with the Packers, 2018. 2 scores tonight. He hadn't had it was December 23rd, 2017, last time he had a touchdown here at Lambeau Field. It's been a while, as Randall Cobb said. I think if nothing else, Randall Cobb has already given this offense more than I expected. I don't know about you, but more than I expected, and it's not a lot. He has 8 catches in 4 games. 6 of them have been on third down. 4 of the 5 tonight on third down. Even if the production overall is sporadic, if this is a guy that Aaron Rodgers can find on third down and hit, his third down catches, it extended or finished drives that led to 17 points. It matched the Steelers on the scoreboard. A veteran guy like that can be used in a niche role, that's a really important role, even if the production is sporadic, that's given this offense more than I anticipated.
So when they made the trade, I thought it was a bad idea, and I'm still very suspect about it. He'll probably put up okay numbers, 40 to 50 catches, 4 or 5 touchdowns, maybe more than that. He is going to come in handy on some third downs. And on plays that break down, he will definitely come in handy there because he and Rodgers have a really good chemistry. My whole question with him is, one, is he going to last the season? He's a small receiver and he's 30 or 31.
31, yeah.
And how good is he going to be in January? He's a small target. We even saw that today. They threw a pass to him over the middle, and he's got a smaller catch radius. Not his fault, but I just wonder if he's taken a lot of snaps away from Amari Rodgers right now, and that is this going to cost them in January when Amari Rodgers would be a better player than he is today, whereas Randall Cobb probably won't be as good a player. Now they could also get hit by injuries and very badly need Randall Cobb before it's all said and done too.
I think it's fair. I also think that
that's just my take. I could be
I think that's a very fair take because it is all about January with this team, right? But I also think that there's a reason why Randall Cobb is taking away touches and roles and snaps from Amari Rodgers right now, and that's because he's a better player.
Yeah, I mean,
right now he's a better player.
Sure
they need to win games now,
right? And they do need to win games now. But that's now that they've won a few, and Rodgers did play more today. I still wonder if they're gonna. The same thing happened to Cobb when he was a rookie in 11, and they played Donald Driver ahead of him. And that was a mistake.
That's a good point.
That was a big mistake. Now, Jones has 4 fumbles in the last 5 games. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. He's only lost. He's lost 2 of them, I think.
Wow, because he was not a fumbler. I didn't realize. Championship game. I remembered he fumbled.
2 fumbles in the championship game. He only lost 1. There was the other one on the left sideline. You remember that?
Yeah.
There was one on the left sideline, and then he had one last week against the 49ers, right?
Mm-hmm.
That he did not lose, and then he lost one tonight. Look, the one today. What's your take? Because to me, the one today, just looking at that one, he got clobbered. He got like swallowed up like the Kraken. Like good running backs can.
I did not get a very good look at the replay, so I didn't see anything worth saying.
But Aaron Rodgers did. He mentioned that AJ Dillon got more opportunity after that fumble.
Yeah.
4 fumbles in the last. 5 games. You're absolutely right, John. That's a problem.
Teams will see that on film, and they will go after that ball even more than ever. And what he's got to do is make them pay for that. And when they're going for the ball, break the tackle and gain more yardage.
We've got a couple. I think Michael Decker on Eric Stokes a while ago. We've got a couple. We should talk about Eric Stokes because there was a time today after Jair Alexander went out, Kevin King's in the protocol that Eric Stokes is rookie, 4th career game. He's their top corner on the field. It's one of those things where he's played a lot early. Talking about Amari Rodgers, they've done that with Eric Stokes, and Aaron Rodgers said that he was talking to MVS on the sideline, and that he was saying, "Look, they're getting the underneath stuff. They're about to double move him," and he was really impressed because in the second half there they double moved Eric Stokes and he was all over it. And then obviously he ended the game with the interception. What do you make of where Eric Stokes is right now?
Looks pretty solid. I mean, they completed a bunch of passes in front of him. Now, he did come up and make the tackle. He didn't miss any of those tackles from what I remember. And that's, to some degree, that's the nature of playing corner in this league is you're going to get beat some. The big thing is not getting beat over the top, which he didn't do. And like we said, I think when we were talking last week, he's improved more from the first day of camp till 3 or 4 weeks into the season of any player I can remember covering. Going back to 93, I asked Tom Silverstein about what he thought, and the only other person that came to his mind was Craig Newsome, who was their first-round pick in 95, and he remembered him struggling in camp and playing pretty decent by early in the season. Either way, that's just 2 guys out of all those draft picks, guys who have just improved a lot. There's talent there, and kind of stunned he got the ball today because his hands are a little shaky.
That's a great point too. That's a great point because the big knock on Eric Stokes, he's had the speed, crazy amount of speed. He's got good coverage. He had good coverage. He did not finish plays. He did not intercept the ball in college. And 4th career game, he gets his first pick. That's pretty good. Levi asks, did the D show up, or did Big Ben just miss too many open guys? He missed Juju Schuster-Smith twice for touchdowns. Big Ben.
Did they score on either of those? Did they get a field goal on the first one, maybe?
I can't remember.
They definitely didn't score on the second one. It cost him at least 11 points and maybe 14.
There's no question, and I want to ask Matt LaFleur this tomorrow because I asked Joe Barry this maybe 2 weeks ago about the lack of preseason snaps and if that can, putting in a new scheme, you should play that scheme, and they didn't. And how much, but there's no question that Matt LaFleur is very, very pleased with the defense tonight. The very first thing that he said at the podium was when you have 11 series and you give up scoring drives and scores on 3 of them, it's a good defensive performance. So Matt LaFleur is very happy with the defense, but look, Big Ben ain't good.
No,
he ain't good.
I mean, I'm guessing he'll still have a couple of good games before the season's over, just, because of his moxie and all that. But he is not nearly the same guy he was 3 or 4 years ago.
So, Levi, I want to say both. I think the defense it's gotten better. It got better against Detroit, especially in the second half, right? It got better, I thought, against San Francisco, and it got better today. In 4 games, it's gotten better each time.
I mean, somebody else got a strip sack. He got a strip sack.
That's
so
huge too.
That was big. Gary had a good rush where he got a sack, and he basically tackled the quarterback and the tackle.
A lot of umbrage there.
Yeah.
A lot of umbrage there.
Yeah. So they played okay. They played decent on defense overall, but a big part of that was they played a quarterback who's a shell of himself.
Were you surprised with Kingsley Keke? Jacquez asks. You know what? As a whole, not just Kingsley Keke. As a whole, I have been surprised that this defensive front has gotten as much in the past 2 weeks, as much pass rush as they have gotten, because it's Kenny Clark, it's Preston Smith, it's not much there. But Kingsley Keke, Tyler Lancaster a week ago, Jonathan Garvin's had some moments. They've gotten some of those guys that need to step up for depth. They've stepped up.
They have. I'm still thinking, especially with now the Zadarius Smith injury and things looking bad for him for the season, They've got to do something
with you,
front seven, front four, if you're talking pass rushers, whether it's inside or outside, they've got to do something fairly meaningful, not just signing somebody off of somebody's practice squad or whatever, but trading for somebody who's actually at least done okay in this league. So because with no Zadarius Smith, that is just too big a bite out of their defense. Somewhere along the road there, once you hit the playoffs, you got to beat a good quarterback or two, and you just can't do that if you don't have a good pass rush.
They might want to get on the phone with the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, a couple guys there.
Yeah, a couple guys.
Yeah.
Grady Jarrett, Dante Fowler.
Yeah.
There's a team that's going nowhere.
That's what I would be looking for. Now
they don't go nowhere.
They don't have to do the deal now. They can wait. So if the asking price, if they feel it's too steep, just wait them out. The deadline is a month from yesterday. It's November 2nd, I'm pretty sure, the trade deadline. So they got time. But yes, I would be watching a lot of Falcons tape if I were in the Packers front office.
Michael wants to know any comments on the special teams. A couple of field goals have been very close to being blocked. Look, go back and watch the replay of the game winner in San Francisco. Very close to getting blocked. And Matt LaFleur said after the game, I didn't get a good look at the block offsides at the end of the half tonight, but it was from the same side, the same right side of their offensive line. And Matt LaFleur said after the game that he felt it was very, very close to not being offsides.
I didn't realize that because when you watch the replays, I saw the replay a couple times, and those two guys on that side clearly were jumping before anybody else on the defensive line was jumping. So they clearly got off early. So I just thought, oh yeah, it's obvious, because I thought they were both offside. But the one thing was I couldn't see the ball. So maybe the ball was being snapped and they just got off right on it and anticipated it, where everybody else waited till they saw the ball move and then went. And so maybe they timed it up perfect and the Packers got lucky out. I will have to check. We can check the game tape tomorrow when we rewatch the game.
Matt LaFleur said that he is going to take a hard look at the right side of that field goal protect unit. He's going to, because there's something there, and when there's something that the teams know this now, they're going to target that side. They're going to overload that side. He knows that. They're going to. But you know what? Special teams wasn't all bad. Obviously, that was an offside, so if it was close or not, it didn't count. Mason Crosby has now made 24 straight field goals, breaking his own franchise record of 23. That's a career long for him, franchise long. And my God, Corey Bojorquez, 57-yard punt from your end zone, causing a fair catch. I have never seen that in 8 years now of covering this team. That was remarkable.
Yeah, my memory isn't good enough to know whether I have or haven't seen that, but that is a rarity for sure.
57.
Yeah, 57
yards, no return.
Gross in net. That's about as good as it gets. I see Mike and Lennox are bringing up names of guys. Whitney Merciless is definitely someone they should at least be looking at. He's with Houston. I mean, of course, Houston's it'll be a fire sale down there, I'm sure, if they want. I don't know enough about Vernon. I can't remember what his injury is. I know he's been hurt a lot the last few years. So I don't know whether he would be healthy enough to help them, once they got into November or not. I assume he's an unsigned guy right now. He's probably coming back from an injury. I'm not sure what the injury is, Lennox, but I don't know if he's still got anything left or not. Achilles, Mike says. So that's a really serious injury. He just might not have much explosiveness left in him, because he's got to be over 30 years old too. That's a bad combo.
Levi wants to know about the lack of Robert Tonyan passing plays, and that's a side effect for third string left tackle. I think it's at least partly a side effect of defensive passing interferences not counting in yards, because he stretched the field and he's had a couple of those plays this year where he's gotten some DPIs that have been big chunk plays that don't go to his stats. But as a whole, what has he done? How many touchdowns does he have this season? Has he gotten to the end zone yet?
I'm not sure he has.
Maybe once.
Yeah.
But look, I think that is a guy that they would like. Aaron Rodgers targeted him downfield a couple times a day. They would like to. He is a playmaker in this offense. They want to get the ball to their playmakers. They want to get the ball to Robert Tonyan. I think that over the course of the season, you'll see that correct. I still think he's a stud.
Yeah, the numbers will work out. He looked. You have to say he looked really good in training camp. And look, if you're going to run the ball as much as they do, you can't do that. Plus, get a lot of passes to Adams and everybody else. I mean, there's only you only have 65, 70 plays a game, and if you're running on close to 30 of them, that's that's not as many passes to go around. And so I think it's going to be kind of like last year where it's a little hard to predict who's going to have the big game any given week of the other guys, but there'll probably always be one guy who has a good game just because of the coverages and just because he, for whatever reason, was getting open that day, or they saw a good matchup and kind of planned for more of him that day.
Chase really wants me to call his name, so I'll just thank you for that, Chase. Let's close tonight on where this team is going forward.
30 pull-ups in a row?
No
way.
No, Chuck Norris can't even do that, Chase.
No way.
Chuck Norris can't. He's going to give me a hard time now.
I am.
Yeah, it's going to. I was trying to go smoothly past this. Give you a thank you, Chase. It's very kind of you to say, but kind of, and he didn't allow that to happen. Going forward, this team. Stop me if you heard this before. They're on to Cincinnati. 3-1 Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, Cincinnati at Cincinnati. A place that they've had some.
Yeah, I think we can pretty safe to assume Alexander at least is going to miss a game or two at minimum.
You think. And that was such a Jair Alexander injury too, because as good as his coverage is, and it's about the best in the league, and he's gotten better at playing the ball, and he's known for that speed. The thing that has always impressed me the most about Jair Alexander, he's an undersized dude. He's 5'10". He's under that threshold, scouting threshold that Ron Wolf implemented, and you've never known it because he plays bigger.
He's a very willing tackler.
He will knock you.
I was surprised when he missed a tackle today out in the open field on an out. He missed the tackle. That's pretty rare.
And that he smacked the crap out of Najee Harris, and it was a big 4th and 4 play in the open field. Great tackle, prevented a first down. And he got the worst of it. You wonder, there's been guys in this league who have been undersized and played bigger. There's been guys in this league that have had to adjust, or maybe they haven't adjusted and they've had some of the wear and tear. I wonder if that is something if that's a learning lesson for him. Not that, look, don't be yourself. You want to be yourself. And he's a tough dude.
I've been wondering why have they not been playing him in the star role, and this could be a reason why. As you play in that star role, then you're really involved in the run game because you're basically a linebacker, and maybe they don't want him getting, because they know he'll get banged up in there, and he's too good a cover guy to have that happen to him. Now, back they did it with Charles Woodson, but he was a little bigger guy too than Alexander is.
Levi, Bob Sanders is exactly the name that was good. Look, I'm a millennial that grew up in Indiana. I grew up watching Bob Sanders. I'm exactly the name in my head as well. Jair, he's a tough dude, and I think that's a great point, Pete. Maybe that's why. Maybe that he's so invaluable on the perimeter in terms of coverage that you don't want the wear and tear inside. That might be it. So that's a good place to stop it. Look, they're 3-1. They're back on course. Randall Cobb. Let's leave with this. Randall Cobb said today, I thought it was very interesting. Randall Cobb's got this veteran perspective, right? He said that there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence. And he said that the opener 38-3 was humbling for this team. You've seen the way that they responded. Maybe the Green Bay Packers are who they thought they were. Maybe they are on that short list of title contenders. They've looked like it, right? They got humbled week 1. Maybe it was good for this team to get that out of their system early and to realize that you can't there are no cakewalks in this league. You can't just show up and play. Now they know that. It's a lesson that might serve them going forward. You wonder, Pete, if that is something that at the end of the season might end up being a pretty good thing, because you're not going to win them all, and sometimes some lessons early in the year are a good thing.
Yeah, I think judging by both what Roger said about how big week 2 was and what Cobb said today about what a lesson that opener was, it probably helped this team because they definitely had the vibe that day of a team that was really full of itself.
All right. Make sure you stay with PackersNews.com for full coverage from Randall Cobb to the running game to what happened on defense of this 27-17 win for the Packers over the Steelers. And going on to Cincinnati, a pretty big game, 3-1 Bengals this week. PackersNews.com for all your coverage. He's Pete. I'm Ryan. Thank you, everyone, for watching along.